Hello. I don't see it on the YouTube yet.
Oh, I did see the comments come through though, so I think that means
Sweet.
I think we're live. I think it's happening. I think we're here.
Yay. All right.
Yay.
Well, hopefully everything is streaming to the YouTubers. So
Good about it.
I'm gonna ask a tech support person how we're doing. Windows. All right, there we go. Looks like we're. Oh, it's just a little delayed. That's what it is.
I don't see.
All right, so Whitney's like, yes, we can see you. Great, excellent. All right, welcome. I'm gonna bring up my notes.
But I am seeing the comments come through now, so that's exciting.
Yay! Good evening. Thank you for joining us at our first ever Super Heroines Con. You've probably seen me in a couple of these things if this is not your first one, but I'm Carolyn No. I am Executive Director of Super Heroines, etc., and my pronouns are she, her. If you're not familiar with us, Super Heroines, etc. is a nonprofit organization that fights for representation and inclusion in geek culture. Woot. We serve a growing community of women via monthly member-driven events that range from a graphic novel book club to our women's GMing cohort. To learn more about us, you can visit superheroines.etc.org, or you can see us after the panel. Hang out in the Discord is always a good place. Also, try using hashtag SheCon2020. I'll also put that on the stream. Maybe we can get some tweets. As we begin, we're inviting you to acknowledge the land that we occupy that sustains us. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to uncover what has been buried by acknowledging that we are not the first stewards of these lands we call home, honoring previous tenders of the land and expressing gratitude for our access to the land. Because of this virtual environment that we're in, we're all coming from all over the U.S. and representing the traditional land of many people. We encourage you to go to native-land.ca, which I'll also put in the comments, and learn more about where you live and share in the comments. We'd love to know. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events. Acknowledging is just the beginning. After this event, we encourage you to learn more. Usually I tell everyone to mute their mics, but we're trying a new system tonight by streaming directly to YouTube. You can ask your questions in the chat. We're also monitoring the Discord, and we will make sure that they are answered even though we're just doing chat questions. And I am going to go ahead and turn it over to our presenter, let her introduce herself. And I really hope that all the technology works tonight as I press all these buttons. Okay, there we go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. Hello, everyone. I am Rockette Fox, and I am, first off, very honored and thrilled to be here with you tonight. I would like to thank Carolyn for the awesome introduction. And yes, I am so thrilled to be here for many reasons. For a little bit about me, I am a Korean American storyteller, illustrator, performer, streamer, wearer of many hats, one might say. But also, I was the president of the board for Super Heroines, etc. for a little while, so I am really honored to be participating. But yeah, I am here today, or this evening, depending on where you are, and I am going to be doing a little workshop on an introduction into streaming on this this fine internet virtual world we are living in. And yes, hello everybody. I am actually able to see everyone's comments, so please, please, please interact with me. Feel free to ask any questions you have, and I will have an answer for you. But I can see it in essentially real time. And I would like to also add that in the packet for the con that was also shared in the Facebook event for this particular workshop, I do have a free downloadable resource sheet that I made for you with my love, but also, well, it was also made with Photoshop, but a lot of my love as well. So that will include just some things that I cover tonight, as well as just some things to think about, as well as little checklisty things and stuff like that. So we, without further ado, are going to get started. So my personal history with streaming, I actually had started attempting to stream some years ago. And at that point in time, I got a little bit into it. I streamed a little bit here and there and didn't really find much success with it. And I ended up swinging back around to it again at the beginning of this year and have been consistently streaming now on Twitch 3 times a week, Monday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday afternoons, as well as I participate in a virtual streamed tabletop RPG on the channel Trooper SJP, which is amazing. It is the title is City of Light and Shadows, but it essentially is a game that follows the adventures of a group of resistance fighters in Paris during World War II. So that's really fun. And that was, season 1 was taking place on Friday nights. We are going to be in September going into season 2. So that's kind of the basis of what I do currently. And yeah, so streaming. These are interesting times we find ourselves in. And while we find that lockdown has caused this atmosphere of having to really separate ourselves, but it's really opened up a new avenue for the possibilities of streaming, especially for performers such as myself, especially for performers who are also introverts like myself. It's a strange combination, I admit that, but it's more common than it might seem. Just in that it's a way to be continuing this connection with people while, one, being safe from the germies that are going on right now, but also maintaining a connection and building a community that spans wider than events that you would necessarily be able to have live, for example. Case in point, I am not in Cincinnati, and yet I'm able to participate in this fine event. And that, I think, is some of the magic of being able to do a lot of this stuff virtually. And while, you know, there's been a lot of difficulty surrounding COVID and the pandemic and everything that has come along with it, I think it has really brought to light some of the benefits, yes, including being able to show off the menagerie of my own creatures that I can share, which would be a lot harder to do on-site locations. But even doing conventions and stuff that have switched to virtual formats, you find that you can really bring together a lot more people from not just nationally, but internationally as well. So that's some of the benefits that you can really get into that I think is really, really cool, right? And in this day and age too, there's really not necessarily one certain topic that you have to be into if you want to start streaming. I think for a long time, like when I first started streaming, it was primarily, well, I'll be honest with you, it was League of Legends. It was all League of Legends all the time. And it wasn't all the time because it wasn't consistent, but it was all gaming stuff. And I think a lot of times it's easy to think of streaming, especially on certain platforms, as necessarily being gaming related or something along those lines. Not so. There are so many different additional varieties of topics and things that you can do. And that includes, I'm trying to think of the band name. I don't remember it. There was a band I looked up fairly recently that one of the members was live streaming their process on the back end of how they, work their music and, in the programming end of it. And there are people who stream live storytelling, as well as many other things, but also people streaming live art and things of that nature. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. So one of the first things I would recommend when you're really wanting to get into this is thinking about where your interests lie, where your passions lie, and what it is that you really want to bring to the table. And what you want the vibe of your stream to be. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one thing, right? Like, you do not necessarily have to go all in on Stardew Valley, even if you get really, 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 really into it for maybe a long time, a whole bunch of weeks, and then play nothing else but that for a while. I'm not speaking from experience at all. Yes, I am. But you can do that, and you can also involve other things on your channel and stream as well. So you can have several different things, but I think it's important going in to figure out what it is you're wanting to involve in that, right? And so think about that, and approaching this as with approaching any creative endeavor, write it down. Make a list of the kind of things you're interested in. Make a list of, do you want to do games? Cool. Write down what kind of games you'd be interested in playing. Do you want to play new games? Do you want to, on your stream, introduce people to new games as you are playing them? Like, this is the first time you're getting into them, so you share that experience with other people. Or do you have expertise in something and you want to share as you're doing that? Or do you want to teach something? Like, oh man, that was last night. Time is a strange thing. But I did a live drawing stream last night, and there were some questions that came in about my process. And so that became an opportunity to actually do a little bit of teaching as well, and sharing a little bit about that. So there are many different ways to look at this. And anytime that you think about these things, kind of dig in a little bit and find out a little bit of what it is you want to think about, what you want to convey, and what it is that you are going to enjoy, right? And how you are wanting to build this community. Because ultimately, what you're going to be doing is building a virtual space. Excuse me. And that, I think, is something really special about streaming as well, is the opportunity to build this space, virtually with people. Yes, and I do have a huge menagerie of pets in Stardew Valley too. I kind of gave up on the whole farming thing and just went all animals because I don't have to explain myself. So as you continue thinking about kind of where you want to go, it's always a good idea as well to check out some other streams, right? So let's say, for example, using Stardew Valley. That's a solid game. Listen, I'm a little bit partial because I do happen to have a lot of animals on my farm, but go ahead and use Stardew Valley as an example. If it's something you're interested in streaming, go online and find other people who are streaming it. And, spend a little time watching some other streams as well and see how other people are doing it. And this is a little bit of the back-end research, right? So you want to see what other people are doing. See how other people are playing the game. And I don't mean necessarily, okay, at the beginning of the day, they go to this location and then they go to this location. That could be a little helpful if you're looking for some of that. But I'm speaking more about how it is they interact with their audience, right? How it is they have the layout of their screen. Do they have the game full screen and a little box with their picture on the lower left, the lower right? How do they have the layout done? How do they have their header? How do they have their branding and other aspects and things like that? And just take a look. And it's okay to be in, don't steal anything from anyone, but it's okay to be inspired by things, right? It's the classic saying with art that, all art is inspired. There's no original art, which that's a discussion for some other time. But, do research and check out what other people are doing. And when you're doing that, one of the other side benefits of that too is learning who all is involved in the different communities that you thusly will also be involved with by doing some of the same things, right? And that, I think, becomes really, really helpful as well. And such as in doing the stream with City of Light and Shadows on Trooper stream, and before that doing Night Witches, which was another role-playing game, which is an amazing game. I highly recommend it. It is a tabletop RPG based on the Soviet airwomen of World War II. There are a lot of historical RPGs I've gotten involved with him, but getting involved in those, you find that you become a part of this community, and then when you start your own stream, you'll find there's a lot of collaboration that happens. And that's really awesome, right? I know that whenever I first started streaming, there was a couple times when there were a couple raids, because I mostly stream for myself primarily on Twitch, one of the things you can do is raid another channel. And I do quotes because anytime Trooper, this person, raids, always comes in and announces it is not a raid, but where you can take your channel with your viewers and go into somebody else's channel and take all of your viewers with them, which is a really cool thing to do when you are supporting someone else's channel. So when you have these collaborations and when you become a part of this community, you really can help and support each other as well. So it's really worth it to get involved and help and lift each other up and really have this awesome, tight kind of thing going on. So, kind of scooping back a little bit, some other things to think about as you go into it. For your own circle of the streaming world, some things to think about are branding. And, this... So branding, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Branding is an important thing to think about. Whether or not you are wanting to be a streaming personality, have a YouTube channel, which can go along with streaming, as we see now. You can stream live on YouTube, you can stream on Instagram, you can stream on Facebook now. There are so many different avenues that you can do this. Branding is important, though. And we are in a place now where most people have an online handle that they've been using for a while. Now, whether or not you want to make that your stream name, that's really up to you. But the thing you're going to want to do is you will want to make sure, A, that name is available and no one else has it. And that's not from a perspective of stealing. That is from a perspective of if someone else has it, you cannot have it. And just as a general rule, you know, it's going to be much harder if you have a name that is, unless for some very specific reason, you know, Rockette Fox 01. Oh, it's just not, that's something I would just advise against on the general whole. But think about that. What name you would want to use as you embark upon your endeavor. But the other thing to think about as well is not just on the streaming platform, but on other platforms as well, because living in the digital and social media age that we do, to get the most out of this, you likely will want to have a matching, again, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, because these are more places where your audience can interact with you and where you can share things that are going on. For example, if you are going live at different points, it's helpful to tweet it out like, yo, everybody, I'm going live right now. Jump on, come see me, come hang out, you know, or anything like that. Put it on Facebook. Hey, it's me, you know, or whenever you're on your stream, hey, come follow me on this. And then you can see what is happening when I'm not streaming, you know, and just other places where people can follow kind of what's going on and keep up with news and things like that. But you want to have a consistent name across these things. And it's helpful as well to have a consistent brand image, whether or not that's a logo or a picture of your face, having something like that. Other things to think about. And I have this all written down on the resource sheet, so fear not if I'm going through it a little bit quickly, because it is there written down. And I saw, thank you, my beautiful mods, that I saw that it went down in the comments as well, a link to that sheet. So I have this all listed there as well. But some other things to think about, you know, there is other places where graphics will go, such as your header, such as a background UI for where it is you're streaming. Again, going back to the idea of gaming, if you are playing a game whose proportions are, say, something like that, and I'm using my hands because I just don't have the math on me right now to give numbers. Let's say your game proportion is this, and the actual screen is what we're working with here that you see. Well, you want something in the background, right? Because it's not going to fill the whole screen. So you can put something in the background and then have a layer that is your game on top of that. And the image in the background can have your channel name on it or some fun design or something. And then you can, in the corner, have your camera image and stuff like that. Yes, and exactly, case in point with notifications. And also, I am so glad you are here. It is always a delight to see you. Thank you for joining. But there is that. One of the things as well, and this is a little bit down the line, but thinking about other little places where you might want imagery, right? And for example, in Twitch, when you become an affiliate, you get custom emojis that people who subscribe to your channel get access to. So thinking about what you want those to look like, you know, thinking about what you want other little icons to look like that people might be seeing or interacting with, and just bearing that in mind as you go forward. But that all falls under the idea of branding, as well as things that you say, as well as the attitude that you keep in your channel, right? Because again, you're creating a space. So if you are creating a space where it is, to give an example of this, I will share kind of how my philosophy is for my channel. My idea for my channel is I try to deliberately create a space that is welcoming and that is kind of a relaxing oasis from things, especially now, things going on that are stressful and overwhelming in the world. And that is not to say that people don't come in and talk about that stuff, because people do. We get a lot of people in my chat talking about some serious stuff that's going on and bothering them. And that is totally welcome. I love that. But for me, I try to bring a vibe of, hey, everybody, we're here. These are good things. And I'm going to try and bring an energy that is very welcoming and very nice and very pleasant. Because that's the kind of attitude I want to have. And not to say, I'm not going to curse here and there, because I will. But that's the idea that I have. And in that, I'm going to try and keep different facets of my channel reflecting that. So anything I have for perhaps a sign off, like, I don't know that I have particularly specific I say for sign off, but in, okay. So one thing I do to sign off, I always blow a kiss out to the audience, and that kind of goes along with the attitude that I try and keep, in that it's a loving group. But that's really up to you, right? You create the atmosphere by it being fundamentally a space that you are moderating, right? And you see the chat, and eventually it helps to bring in other people who have moderating capabilities, and that is to say, who are able to, if somebody gets on up in there and is unpleasant, that you can silence them or ban them. When it's just you starting out, you are the person who is going to be in command of being like, nope, I'm not going to have that here. And yeah, exactly. No, my chat is really amazing, and it's a really cool community. And I have a lot of that to thank, because a lot of people came over from earlier collaborations that I was involved with, that are other really cool communities that represent the kind of atmosphere that I like and I want to kind of create. So it's a very cool thing. It's a very cool thing. And so that being said, kind of that leads into this next idea of things you'll need. And yeah, having a good set of mods is so important. Like, it's when you're doing something, say, even if you're just on stream talking, let's say you're telling a story, or you're even doing your intro or something, and let's say somebody shows up in chat and just starts to be crazy. They start just being crazy. It is, and this has happened with me, and I know that, and again, yeah, I do know this person is Coldrake, so that is how I will refer to you, if that is okay. I know Coldrake has seen this happen before, but when you're in the midst of doing something and you're on a roll and somebody shows up in chat, it's akin to being in a room and you're doing something and you're among people that are nice and it's going well, there's a good flow, and then somebody throws open the door, runs in, and just starts peeing all over the place. And it's shocking. It is shocking. And I've found that for myself there, when you're really not expecting it, and there's not a lot of times that you're really expecting it, right? There will be a moment of just a moment, right? A moment. And so having people that you trust that are have been in the chat, that have consistently been there, or that can consistently be there, that have mod privileges and can see this and immediately jump in and be like, nah, we're going to ban that. We are not going to have that kind of behavior going on. That is extremely helpful. The first time that happened with me, I saw it was not somebody peeing all over chat, but it was somebody just being rude in some way or another. And so I'm kind of just like, okay, what, and I'm clicking through things and I was like, I don't remember how to do the, oh no, oh man, what do I type to get them out of here? You know, and so I was unprepared in that situation. So preparedness is very helpful. But so even not necessarily expecting that that's going to happen, but being prepared. I keep sticky notes kind of around my monitor with different things on them, including I have one that has different chat commands, and that leads me into on the resource sheet as well. There are different chat bots that can help you on your stream journey, and they are sometimes frustrating, but overall very helpful. Yes, they are the troll control to a great degree. You can, in there, and the two that I have personally used, so before I had moderators, and thankfully I got into that pretty quick, but before I had moderators, just using the simplest of commands. Now the first time I just kind of stumbled over myself and had to jump into a couple other windows to remember the very, very, very complex procedure of /ban and then the person's name. And I remember that now, but at the time, it took me a minute. So having those just kind of in the old noggin, that's helpful. But I always keep an eye on chat just for my own stream. And I'm not normally, if you get to a place to where the chat is super heavily populated, at that point, you are likely going to have people that have been there consistently enough and that you trust that will be willing to come on as moderators. You usually, when it's early enough that you don't have anyone in place as moderators yet, it's much easier to look at it yourself and do it. The main commands that are the most helpful are ban, mute. Those are really the main ones. And this is in Twitch because those are the ones that I have. That's the one that I primarily stream on. And yeah, knowing when a timeout versus a ban. And most of the time, well, I'll just say this. That depends on, again, going back to the idea of your personal stream and the space that you are wanting to create, right? If somebody is in there just being real aggressive from jump, well, that's probably immediate ban. But if it's somebody who you've seen there before, or it starts off fine, and maybe they've said something that's a little off color, they've gotten a warning, but they kind of won't let up, that could be a timeout. You know what I'm saying? So kind of getting the flavor of that. And those are the times going into that more finer detail kind of stuff is normally what I will leave to moderators once you actually have somebody who's able to pay much closer attention. I say that as if I'm not hovering over my chat being like, yeah, what's everybody talking about? What's everybody saying to me? But yeah, the chatbots I have used are Stream Elements, which you can find at streamelements.com, and Nightbot, which you can find at nightbot.tv. And these are on the sheet as well. So just in case that wants to be typed, or or you want to see this later. And those are the ones I've used. They've both. There are pros and cons to both. I started with Stream Elements and I liked it. Both of those, the way that they work is that you will go to the website, and once you actually will connect them to the place that you are streaming through. And then it requires it to be able to access your account there. And then you can actually go back to that. It's a separate site, but then you can go and you can access the dashboard there, and then you can create custom chat commands. For example, on mine, I will have a custom command for if I have a special event coming up. For example, say my virtual birthday event coming up this coming Monday, which is coming up. But I'll have a special command that I can type into chat, and then Nightbot, which is the one I'm using currently. And thank you for the happy birthday. Nightbot will then, I'll just type in the command, and Nightbot will actually immediately pull up information that I input much earlier on, and it'll be like, hey, this is what's going on. It's happening Monday, August 10th from 7 to 10 p.m. Central Time, and it's going to be filled with me telling stories and singing songs and giveaways and stuff like that. I'm just throwing that out there. But some of the other things too is that through using these, and Whitney, going back to your question about how you moderate solo before you have another person moderator, a lot of these bots, you can go in and you can add in, hey, these are words that if someone uses this word, they are automatically either banned or put in timeout, or, this will happen to them if they use XYZ, or if they, if somebody starts to spam a bunch of words, that will immediately just not be included in the chat. That will be silenced or whatever, and various different things like this. So that's a really nice way of being able to filter some of the stuff coming through so that you don't have to do it while you're actually trying to run the stream as well. And that's also a nice way to listen. There are some pieces of language we just don't want ever to pop up on the chat. And these are nice ways that you can immediately have those things filtered out. And also, happy birthday back to you, Industrial Gila-Dolphin or Gila-Dolphin. And Leos are pretty awesome. Gonna throw it out there. This is coming from somebody with 3 cats. I also have 3 rats, but you're the rat, so there's also a dog. There's a lot of things here. So chatbots are helpful, but the reason I switched from Stream Elements to Nightbot, even though Nightbot, when I first started using it, just as a straight up heads up, there's a lot of, it wanted to warn me of everything, like everything that was happening in chat. It was like, yo, did you know that someone, that someone used 10 ellipses, and I'm like, Nightbot, I don't care. Please just stop, and so just stuff like that. Or like, hey, did you know that someone said water bottle twice in a row? And I'm like, oh my God, please, so you have to kind of play around with it, go back in there, just change the settings and stuff like that, and be like, Nightbot, you got to chill out. You need to relax. You're making me crazy. But the thing I do like about Nightbot is that when I run giveaways, Nightbot actually has a method of doing that. You can actually go into the sidebar, and there is a way to do giveaways with that. You can go in there, and there is a setting for that where you can go in and, you know, like, there will be a giveaway. I want it to be anyone randomly who has participated in chat in the last 5 minutes. And so if I want to do it that way and I'm running a giveaway, normally on stream, I'll be like, all right, I'm about to do one of my giveaways. Anybody who wants to be a participant, say yes in chat right now. Wait 5 minutes, run the thing, and then Nightbot will be like, I have deemed that is the winner of the, and it's a really nice, easy way to do that, which is much easier than writing down everybody's names on tabs, cutting them up and stuff, like throwing them in a hat, shaking the hat around, you know. So it's a really cool way to be able to involve giveaways and stuff like that into your stream. So moving on to a few other things that are helpful. This today, here and today, is actually my first go with StreamYard. So this is nice. I'm enjoying this is neat. I'm enjoying this pretty well. I actually use OBS, which is a pretty common streaming, I don't want to say platform, software, I guess. But it's what I use to stream. It is a free thing that you can use. And I actually use Mac. So it is good on PCs and Macs. That's important because not everything is. And you can find that at obsproject.com. Swinging back real quick. Yes, Nightbot allows you to make commands with the exclamation point followed by the word. And then you type that into chat, and that will pull up, you know, if I type, for example, on mine, exclamation point Discord, it will pull up all the information on, hey, did you know that Rockette Fox has a Discord server? Join the Discord because it's awesome. That being said, Stream Elements also works in the same way. It just depends on which one you have connected. So both of them actually work that way. But yeah, so OBS is the one that I use. It is a free download. It is so much easier than the first time I was trying to stream, which the first time I had to have a separate program set up for the camera, a separate program set up for the sound, another program set up to run the sound through a thing and then into the internet. It was a lot. OBS does all of that and connects directly to whichever platform it is you're streaming to. And in addition, you set up your different screens on there beforehand. So for me, I have an intro screen that I'll pop up onto, you know, there's a button that'll say start streaming. Hit that and start with the intro screen, which is just my header with my name on there. And so that will be the first thing people see. And then I'll switch it to my first scene, which is basically what you're seeing before you now. And then I'll have a scene set up for gaming, which is I have the gaming screen and then my face here, or another scene that I have set up for live drawing, which is maybe, you know, the whole background set to my desktop of my computer and then my camera set up over here and things like that. So it's a really nice one that I like. I would recommend it. I would recommend it. And honestly, the best way, there's a lot of tutorials online. I would say to just check it out. Honestly, if you want to get to know it, the best thing I would suggest for that is to just get a hold of it and play with it. That would be honestly the thing that I think is going to help the most. Other things that are very helpful, you're going to need a camera. And so if you're anything like myself or my parents, you may have the urge to be like, I want to stream, I will obtain the highest quality things that I can so that I may start in the best way possible. That is not necessary. You can, in fact, slow your roll. You absolutely do not have to worry about all that. A camera, you do need a camera. However, what will help you more than having the finest of fine cameras is having good lighting. Good lighting will make even a lesser high resolution camera look real nice. So camera, lighting, and you want your lighting, coming at you and not like from over here or over here. If it's coming from both sides at once, that's probably okay. But you need a microphone. It is not a bad idea, even when you're starting, to have a separate microphone and camera, and not just use like because I say this gesturing over here. I'm actually working off a MacBook Pro, so all of this is happening off a laptop, believe it or not. I would have separate stuff that is not necessarily just that, but it is possible to start on the lower end and work your way up. So for people who are not graphics whiz, finding people who do make layouts. Honestly, ask. That sounds, and I mean this with all of the love, like reach out on platforms. You would be surprised how many people you can find if you reach out on your social media platforms and be like, hey, I'm interested in getting into XYZ, and I'm looking for this kind of a thing, is anyone interested in doing that? Now, as I say this, it is important, if you are going to have stuff made, to pay people for their work. I say this as an artist, I say this as a performer, I say this as a person. If you are wanting to have somebody do work for you, it is important to pay them. Like, it is not doing stuff for, hey, but people will see it, is not payment. It's not. Don't do that. Other things that you can do in lieu of that, there are places where you can get royalty-free stock imagery, which in lieu of doing stuff that you can use, for a time, and make sure to check the licensing on different things. One place that I tend to get different backgrounds for headers and stuff is Pixabay. And that's a resource that I use, which is pixabay.com. And they have various different things there, but look around at different things, find people who do work and the type of work that you're looking for. But yes, pay people for their work. And yeah, and Pixabay, for example, you are allowed and encouraged to tip when you click on one of the pictures, you can see who took the picture and you can tip them. Do this. Because people, creatives are having a hard enough time as it is, especially in the atmosphere that we're in right now. And I say this as a creative as well. We're all in this together, though. Let us support each other. It all plays back into itself. As we all lift each other up, it only helps strengthen the community. So that is that. Camera, microphone, OBS. That's OBS said as a word. So other tips I would have as well. Be consistent. Having a consistent schedule is going to help you. Because let's say you get on a Monday night and you have a whole bunch of people come in and you have the best stream that has ever been strung ever. And everyone is like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I want more. And then you don't go back on for 3 weeks. Everyone has now forgotten about you. That's not it. Everyone may not have forgotten about you, but but people aren't going to know when to find you if you're not consistent, right? And from the other end of that, as a creative, consistency helps you to do the thing. I find that for myself, if I do not have a schedule set and I'm not consistent with it, it gets to a point to where, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Depends on which way the wind is blowing. However, when I have a consistent schedule, I will be there and I will do it. So it helps on both ends of that. And work your way up, right? Like, don't start off, I'm going to be on 5 days a week for 8 hours a day. You will burn yourself out. You will not be having fun. And then you won't want to do it. And what is the point in that, right? Like, start off with what is fun and what, is good for you. And then if you find that you want to do more, do more. Because the more that you're on, the easier it is for people to find you. The easier it is for people just to stumble across you, and things like that. So, but yes, the last thing I really have, and then throw your questions at my face. The last thing I really have tip-wise is, to listen, be respectful, and to be nice. Again, I've said this before, but you are creating a community. You're creating a space. Make it a space that people want to come back to, and a space that represents what it is that you stand for and that you represent. But yes, and no, and Cold Ray, exactly. Like, one thing to be aware of, if you are streaming various different kinds of content, that is something to be very aware of. Like, some people may come in and be like, yo, Stardew Valley, I love Stardew Valley. Cool, man. And then the next time you're on, it's like you're doing something totally different that is un-Stardew Valley related, then maybe they're not really there for that, right? So if you are doing different things, and this is something I try to, because my stream tends to be a little bit of a mixed bag, but I try to have some consistency between, all right, I'm switching between some gaming here, some storytelling, some chatting, some, and keeping things circulating throughout the world and the end of time. But yeah, do we have any other questions from anybody or anything like that? And yeah, if anybody wants, feel free to check out my stuff. I'm at twitch.tv/Rockette Fox, and you can find me Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Central, which is 8 to 10 Eastern, and Thursdays from 3 to 5 Central, 4 to 6 Eastern. So that's when I'm on. And yeah. One other thing too, that I did want to share for anyone who is here right now. Check out, I'm also doing a little vending in the vendors hall as well. And for everyone who is hanging out, if you are here during the time of SheCon and you use the code in my shop, SheCon15, you get 15% off whatever you want in the shop. That is for you because I love you. And I see a question here. What do you do about people or trolls in the chat who prefer to discuss the gender rather than the stream? I either mute or just bounce them out of the chat, because I'm really not interested in that. Like, for example, I've had people join my chat stream before who, what you see me doing right now visually is much more tame than how I normally look when I'm on stream. I tend to do a lot of really witchy makeup and stuff like that. And I've had people come on before and be like, what are you supposed to be, emo or something? Direct quote. And I just don't really respond, and I just kick them out because it's not even a conversation I want to get into because it's not really worth my energy. So it's not something that is there strictly to incite angst is just not even worth it, in my opinion. And it is much better for the space as a whole. And honestly, it's not worth it. It's not something that I want my audience and my community to have to deal with either. I don't want them to have to deal with people who are going to be obnoxious. So I would much rather just not have those people be there, upsetting everyone, myself included. And the thing too to remember is that if you are streaming and somebody comes into chat and says something that makes you uncomfortable, it is, at the end of the day, it is your stream. It is your stream. If somebody is making you uncomfortable, get rid of them. You do not have to keep somebody in the chat to be for whatever reason, right? Like don't deal with that. That it is your space. But yeah, thank you so much. I have done some tutorials, and I am going to be live streaming that at some point. That is something I'm going to be doing. But yes, do we have any other questions about that? And that is one of the things I think can be harrowing, I think, as you go into it. Just the idea of people jumping on who are going to be mean, right? Who are going to be crass, cruel, who are going to say things about, gender stuff, who are going to say things about your appearance and things like that. Even though the internet can be a scary place, most times, we do have controls to keep that from happening. And most people are actually not awful human beings. So
all right, friends. Because we're using some new technology tonight, I'm going to ask if we can wrap it up just 3 minutes early so that I can hop over to our other stream that's going to be starting. Finding creative inspiration in history is going to start right at 7 o'clock. I'll let Fox answer this last question, and then we're going to conclude.
All right, awesome. So
it says.
Yeah, sorry, there's a little bit of lag for me. So my thoughts on ASMR streaming are, I personally use ASMR a lot to fall asleep to, so I'm totally cool with it. It's something I've actually thought about. Like, I don't have the resources to get those fancy mics, but I like ASMR, so I think that's nifty. That's my personal thought on it. But yeah, I would say everybody also, thank you so much for joining. Hit me up for any other questions or anything like that. And yeah, stick around for the next thing. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, Fox.
Thank you. Thanks
for
having
me.
So
excited to have you back.